Namaskar. Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr.Hiren Joshi from Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University, Ahmedabad. In the subject Web Application Development 2, in today's session, I am going to deliver a lecture on Introduction to Web Application Development and HTML. The learning objectives of these modules are Introduction to Web Application Development, Introduction to Software required to develop web applications, and Introduction to HTML. So, let us start. What is actually web application development, or what is web? So, as we know, World Wide Web or simply a web is consist of many components that works together to bring the web page which we can see in our desktop come through internet. This is actually basically client server architecture, where servers share resources with client. These resources can be file, printer, database, web server or email. A web server share websites with client. Client use web browser to get the page from web server. So, this client server architecture communicates through network. Network is a communication system which is used to communicate between client and server. Network use a network interface card in a PC by PC to connect to the network. So, this through NIC a computer is connected to the network, and there is a routing table available for to decide which network is nearby to the network. So, this routing table is generated by router, a device which is used to calculate which network is nearby to that particular request. So, in short we can say, when a request sent by client to the server, it come to the router by many networks. So, this router will decide which is the nearest destination network. Then we can say that network can be classified as by their distance wise. So, there are mainly LAN and WAN two category. LAN stands for local area network, which is generally used to connect all the computers or PC within the same building or adjacent building. They are generally also known as a intranet, while wide area network is a connection of many LAN. Now, internet service provider, or called as a ISP, which owns their own WAN. They can lease these WANs to many users, those who would like to use internet, and these ISPs are connected through internet exchange point or IXP, which are called router, which is backbone router for the intranet. So, this is the general architecture for web application. Now, website can have a static web pages or dynamic web pages. Static web pages are web pages which is only change when developer change it, while dynamic web pages are pages which can change its display according to the input provided by user. So, static web pages are very simple. If we consider that figure, so there is a web server, there is a client. Client send request to the server using HTTP or hypertext transfer protocol. This is protocol which is used to communicate between web server and web browser. Now, web server will receive the request, so it will be check the extension. So, generally static pages has extension .html. So, it will find that particular file within that server. If it find that file, so it will be directly sent to the web browser, and web browser display it to the user browser. So, this is simple static web pages. Now, if we look at scenario for dynamic web pages, so in dynamic web pages, client send the request through HTTP to the web server. Now, web server has a program which will check the extension of a file. say for example, in our this module we are using PHP. So, it will be checked PHP file has a .php extension. So, PHP requires a PHP engine to interpret the code for PHP file. So, web server will communicate with PHP engine will interpret the code. Meanwhile, in case PHP engine require database, it will connect to the database server and get the data from database server. Then again PHP engine process the data and send the result to the web server. Then web server send the result to the web browser and web browser will display that result. So, this is the general scenario. Now, in dynamic web pages, it may require that email server as well, but this is the general scenario for dynamic web application. So, PHP is used for creating dynamic web application. There are many softwares available to create web application developments. We will discuss one by one. So, now let us consider what are softwares required to develop web applications. So, this software includes basically clients require web browser, then for development side it is require web server, server side scripting language and database server, and client may require client side languages or client side scripting languages. So, let us start with web browser. So, first web browser was developed by Sir Tim Berners-Lee in 1991 at CERN laboratory in Switzerland. Then onwards many web browsers has been developed. The oldest one is we can say Mozilla. So, then many web browser has been developed. Nowadays Internet Explorer is one of the most useful web browser. It is by default come with Windows operating system and it is one of the most widely used web browser. Apart from Windows, there is a Mozilla Firefox available, which is basically generated from Netscape Navigator, and this browser is also available for many operating systems for you can say give it name for Windows, Linux, etc. Safari and Opera are also very useful. Safari is the default web browser for Mac OS and Opera is also support Windows, Linux, Mac, etc. Google Chrome is a latest browser that will be used by many users nowadays. So, these are the main browsers. Be remember, browser only understand HTML code, whatever code processed by web server and display. So, browser can understand only HTML code, it will not understand anything. Even if you view the source code by browser, it will display only HTML pages. Then web server. So, there are many web server, but mainly two web servers are used nowadays. One is Apache, which is developed by Apache Foundation and it is freely available. Second one is IIS, Internet Information Server, which is developed by Microsoft. So, IIS is mainly used for Microsoft product, while Apache used by many languages. As per one survey made by website, Apache is the more than 50% is used today worldwide for web server. Now, to write a program, there is a required server side scripting language. So, there are many server side scripting languages available. Few of them are ASP.NET or now called only ASP and their version number, which is mainly used for Microsoft application. JSP, which is stands for Java Server Pages, which is again very largely used, it is again open source. Then Perl. So, Perl is also used to create web application as well as another application. Python. So, Python is a we can say multi-dimensional language and nowadays it is very popular. Apart from web application, Python is used to create many other types of application like natural language processing or any other types of application. PHP. So, PHP is again open source platform and it will be widely used to create web application development. So, these are the main web server side scripting languages. Then database. So, database is actually we can say RDBMS or relation database management system, which is used to store, add, update, delete as well as when user require to provide them data. So, there are many database server available. Majority of them are first one is Oracle, which is product of Oracle, then MS SQL Server, which is product of Microsoft, then MySQL, which is again open source and it is widely used with PHP to create freely available application. Then IBM has a product called DB2, which is one of the majority database. Then apart from that, PostgreSQL, which is freely available as well as open source, which is used by some community. So, these are the main database available for web application development. Now, let us come to client side scripting languages. So, HTML is actually a static web pages available. Through HTML you can never create a dynamic web pages, and if you want to do some thing, then you can use JavaScript. So, JavaScript is again client side language, because the code runs on client side, not server end, web server end, but JavaScript is used to create such application. Another one is VB script, which is not as much used nowadays compared to JavaScript, but it is again a scripting language for client side scripting languages. To get web page, generally user type at the address bar or click on the hyperlink. Say for example, when you type on address bar, so this is known as a URL. Say for example, if you type www.google.com, so this is URL. URL stands for Universal Resource Locator. So, suppose if you write www.musicplanet.com/shridis/ghazal.com. So, here first there will be HTTP. If you do not write HTTP, by default the protocol is always HTTP. So, this is known as a domain name. So, these are the part of domain name. First is protocol, if you do not specify, by default it is HTTP. Then the original domain name, say for example www.musicworld.com, then you write /cd. So, this is actually your path, and then it might write /ghazals.html. So, this is actually file name. So, domain name is consist of protocol, domain name, path and file name. Generally, when you open any application, then that file has a name index or home, but most probably home will be used. Now, as though we are using web application development, dynamic web application using PHP, we should have knowledge of HTML, because when we write HTML code, we also require to use HTML code. So, let us start with HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is case insensitive language. So, you can write HTML tag in either uppercase, lowercase or camel case or whatever case you may like. HTML has many versions available since its inception. The recent one is HTML5. Though you know HTML4 is sufficient for developing web application with PHP. HTML has 3 flavors. This is defined by World Web Consortium, or known as a W3C. They define 3 flavors of HTML4. These 3 flavors are strict, transitional and frame set. Strict means strict flavors do not allow deprecated elements and attributes. Deprecated elements means elements which are not required to use, as there is a CSS as well as other things available, because HTML is initially developed to transfer the data between researchers. It is never developed to formatting a page. Then second one is transitional, which is allow deprecated elements and attributes in your web pages, and frame set, which is similar to transitional, but apart from transitional it will also allows you to provide HTML frame, but nowadays HTML frame is not used because cascading style sheet or CSS has provided such good facility. Now, in this you may require metadata or meta tag. So, this metadata is data about data. So, same way this meta tag provide information about this tag. This meta tag is always come inside the HTML's head section. So, this meta tag is actually not visible in the browser, the main use of meta tag is for search engine as well as for machine. It is machine parsable. This meta tag is used to define the author name, search content, etc. Meta tag is always passed as a name equal to value pair, means this name and this value. If you look at this some example, then you might find meta name is equal to something name and then other tags. This meta tag has attributes also. It has 3 attributes: name, HTTP equivalent and content. The name attributes specify the type of metadata which is being used in the pages you want to use. The most common value for name attributes are description and keywords. Then HTTP equivalent is specified the name of metadata in HTTP header. The most common value for HTTP equivalents are content type. Content type is used to specify the content type of document, and third attribute content, which is the value is used for item specified by the name of HTTP equivalent. So, these are the meta tag. Now, to write HTML, you can use any editor available to you, but if you are using Windows, then by default Notepad you have available. So, you can use Notepad also to write your HTML code. There are many other editors also available like NetBeans, which is again freely available, or you can use Notepad++, which is again freely available, one editor, or some other editors. But if you want to write something with HTML, let us start our first code by writing HTML program using Notepad. So, to write first HTML program, click on Notepad. So, it will open my Notepad editor. As we are aware, the title bar shows untitled Notepad. Now, to write HTML code, let us start by writing tag. Tag means whatever you write between the angle brackets. Another name of tag is element. So, HTML has a everything within tag. HTML has a predefined tags. So, you have to use this predefined tags when you write HTML code, and some tag have a closing tag also, means all tags not necessarily require closing tag, it is optional, but some tags is a compulsory, you have to close that tag. To close the tag, you have to use the same name as your tag name, but you have to prefix with /. Then each tag has can have attributes also. So, attributes provide additional information for that tag, but let us understand by writing a simple code. So, first let me write a simple program using HTML. So, that is why I type first HTML. So, look at here, let me just increase the font size, so you are clearly view it. So, I make font size 22. So, this is I write HTML. So, here HTML is a tag because it is written inside angle bracket. Now, it is always good idea that you should write opening and closing tag simultaneously. So, you never forget the closing tag, and in between opening and closing tag you can write whatever you like. Then let us say inside I can use head section. So, this is again one tag, and again to close it you can use / and head. Inside that you can define title tag. So, title tag whatever you type, it will display onto the title bar of your browser. So, let us write welcome to HTML. This is the content. Content you can write whatever you like. Here I write welcome to HTML/title. Now, I need to just save this file. So, I can click on save file menu. There is a save as option because I am using Notepad. If I click on save, this file might save as a .txt file, but as I want to save it as a .html file, I should click save as. Now, I save onto my desktop. So, for that let me create one folder I give this folder name as HTML demo. Inside that I give this file name as a welcome file. So I give them name welcome.html. Now look at here, in save as type you should select all files, not text file. If you consider as a text file, then if you write only text file here, then it will store as a welcome.html.txt, but you should not do that. So you should write all files, save as type select, and save this in your desktop HTML demo file as a welcome.html. Now to run the file, you can move to that particular folder and right click and open with whatever the browser you are available. Right now I have 3 browsers available: Internet Explorer, Google Chrome or Firefox. Let me use Firefox to open that file. So as I open with Firefox, look at here, in the title bar it will display welcome to the HTML. Within that browser white area it will not display anything because I haven't write inside it. So this is my first HTML page. Now this head section is optional, even I can write without head also, but head is a mainly title as well as link. These 2 elements are very helpful. Let me show the use of link elements or tag. So I have to write link. Now as I say, each tag can have attribute also. So link as attribute, one is relation. Relation is generally when you want to create cascading style sheet, you should write relation is style sheet. Here I have relation is shortcut icon, because I want to create a shortcut icon with my this code. You have seen some website, there is a shortcut icon of a owner of a web page developer. So I want to create that icon or image also. This is also known as a favicon, for favorite icon. Then I can create hyperlink reference is equal to, I have to provide the path of my image that I want to display here. Say for example, I have not any image, so I just copy it. Say I have a pictures folders, from that pictures let me pictures any pictures. Say for example, I can copy from pictures or anywhere. Let us say I copy this picture 4 and I copy this picture onto this my folder HTML demo. So now I just need to type h reference is, what is the name of my picture here is picture 004, picture 004 dot, and the picture type is JPG. So I have to just type dot JPG. So this is link. Even you can write type also. When you use cascading style sheet, you should write type is equal to style sheet. Here you can write favicon or icon, or it is optional. As I say, all attributes is not necessary, you can skip it also. Now I need to just save it because I already save as a HTML. So I just save it, come to my browser and let me reload it. So look at here, you can see the image that we have added at our title. So this is HTML head section. As I say, head section is optional, so you can write anything without using that head section. Then another important tag is body. Whatever content you write, that will display inside the body tag of HTML. So in body, let us write again welcome to HTML and let me save it. I minimize the notepad and refresh or reload my browser. So look at here, it will display welcome to HTML. What I have written in title, that will display onto the title bar of my browser, whereas what I have written in the body section, that will be display in my browser's white area or main portion. So this is body. Now body tag has some attributes. say for example, if you want to change background color, you can write BG color and you can provide any background color as well. Say for example, if I say background color is equal to red, so I can write RED in double quote and I save this file. If I refresh it, so you can see now the background of that file is become red color. Now here I just would like to mention there is a also difference between HTML and XHTML. HTML is not strict about syntax, but XHTML is very strict about syntax. In HTML we can write tag in any case, uppercase, lowercase or camel case, but in XHTML the tag name must written in lowercase. In HTML there is a some tag may not require closing tag, but in XHTML each tag must be close. In HTML when you want to close that tag, you can use / and that the same tag name, but XHTML allow that you cannot close that same tag within the same line. You have to write br / and that tag name, and attributes name you can write without double quote in HTML, but XHTML you must write using double quote. So, this is one attribute we are using for body element is BG color. Here I write red. So, this is color constant name. All color has not that constant name like red, green, blue, silver, black, white, etc. available, but there are many colors. So, if you want to give any color name, you can use hexadecimal value, because we know that computer use RGB value, means red, green, blue value. Here the intensity of color is between 00 to 255. 0 is the least and 255 is the highest. So, we know that when you write all are 0, that means black, and all are maximum value 255, that means white, but the color code is represented by hexadecimal value. So, hexadecimal has a base 6 and the digits are available is 0 to 9, and then 10 is represented by A, 11 is represented by B, 12 is represented by C, D represents 13, E represents 14 and F represents 15. So, total 16 digits 00 to F. So, you can write BG color by providing hash and then first 2 digit for color code. Let us say for example, if I want to display red here, I can write capital FF for red. Then for green I do not want to give any value, that is why it is 00. Same way for blue I do not want to give any value, that is why I written again 00. Now, if I save it and reload it, so look at there is a no changes. Say for example, I want to use green color. So, here I write 00 and write FF. I just save this file and reload it. So, look at the background is green, and we can use any combination, like we know that when red and green combine it will create a new color. So, I just save this file and reload it on my browser. So, it will become yellow color. Not only that, here you can give any value between 00 to FF. Say intensity of red is I write as a 99 and green is FF, and for example, blue is a let us say 25, because these are hexadecimal value. So, it will show the different color. So, you can create as many colors as you like for your body background. As from like background, there is a BG color, there is another attribute called background also. Say for example, if I type background, I have a one folder, the folder name images, and my file name is doc.jpg. So, just look at here, I just confirm that my folder has a images folder in which there is a file called doc.jpg. So, just save it and now we can refresh it. So, you can see it will display as a background the image we are take. It will be tiled by default. Even as I say, these all attributes are not compulsory. Now I do not want to use background color because it is meaningless if you are using background and background color. So you can take whatever you like. So for text color, I just to show you, let me remove this BG color or background, whatever, let me remove background. And now I want to make my font color should be, background is red and you can use white. So red and white is a good combination, and if you reload it, so that will be displayed as a white. So this all are attributes that you can use with body. Apart from that, you can use a link, v link. A means active link, v link means visited link, that will be considered when we take hyperlink. So this is all about body. Now inside body you can use, let us say I want to use heading tag. So there are 6 types of headings available. They are H1, H2, H3, H4, H5 and H6. H1 is the largest one and H6 is the smallest one. Let us say I type H1, this is heading H1 and slash H1, because this is closing tag. Now H1 is a one tag which will be put one line blank after you write it. So to write again, to show you demo, I will type H1, H2, H3, H4, H5 and H6. So I will make H1, H2, H3, H4, H5 and H6, and same way close each one by its corresponding value. Let us save it and refresh it. So you can see H1 is the largest one and H6 is the smallest one, and each H1 tag put one line blank after its text. So H1 or P, these are known as a container, especially P, another tag is P for paragraph, which is container type tag, because in paragraph you can contain as many content as you want. HTML has 2 types of tag, one is block level tag, another one is inline tag. So block level or container tag, inside that tag you can put another content, P for paragraph, and let us say I write this is a paragraph. So now look at, if I save it and reload this, so it will display this is a paragraph. Now for that, let us say I want to, in P, this paragraph I would like to align in center. So I can use attribute align is equal to center with P. So now my text will be displayed as a horizontally center of my this browsers. And suppose you want to change the font color of that particular content. So there is a font tag also available. You can write font color is equal to, so let us say I write red and blue. Not sure how it will be look like, but let us check it. So look at, these all are white and this is blue. Now see, if I do not close it and if I write anything, this is for test. So this text will be again displayed as a blue because I haven't closed my font tag, right. If I want to use as a white, because my in body I define text should be white, so I have to close my font tag. I save it and open it. So now you can say it will be look like this is for test. Whatever content you like, it is you can, and look at here, it will be not by default, though I write in the next line, the browser will not display in the next line. To use that, you can use BR tag, BR for break the line, or BR means break. So if I save it and reload it, so now it will be displayed onto the next line. Now in the font you can again use face attribute also to determine the font type. By default it will be Times New Roman. Suppose I want to display, it should be Arial. So now my this is paragraph text, whatever I have written is Arial type. Let us reload this page. Look at, this is paragraph. You can write more than one face also. You can also determine size also. Size value can be 1 to 7. Say for example, if I define 5 and let me run it. So look at, this is 5, 7 is maximum. So you can define any of this value. Now if you want to define list in using HTML, you can do so. There are 3 types of list available. These are known as a order list, unordered list and data list. Let us take first example of order list. So let me type h1 order list and slash h1. Now to start a list, the tag is ol for order list, and to close it slash ol. Inside order list, to insert a list, there is a tag called li. Let us say I write 1 and to close slash li. Same way list insert 2 and slash li. Let us check it by save it and reload it. It will display 1 and 2. Now in order list, if you want to define from A, B, C, etc. so you can use attribute type is equal to A. You can use Roman letters as well, capital or small a, whatever type you like. Here I use type is assigned to A. So if I click, it will display A, B. Now if I want to start from not A but from H, so you can use start attribute as well. You can write start is equal to H is a 8th character in alphabet. So I write start is equal to 8. I save this file and reload it. So it will be start from H and then it will display I. So this is order list. Same way there will be unordered list is available. For that you can use ul tag for unordered list. Here you can write again to insert a list, list 1 and write item 1 slash li. To close that tag, again to insert another item you can type item 2 slash li and I have closed it. So let us file and save, and to test reload our page. So it will display item 1 and 2 as unordered list. I just save it and reload it. You can again define type here also for unordered list. Say for example, type is equal to, you can write square. So the bulleted list type of, here it is like filled circle, it will display as a square when you reload it. So this is unordered list, and the third one is known as a data list. So for that you can write DL for data list, then you can use DT for defined term. Let us say for example, if I write RAM, and then I can use data definition means DD, that RAM stands for random access memory, and slash DD. Then for second one, let us I write DT ROM slash defined term, data definition is read only memory, and slash DD. Now I save it and check it. So look at the browser, it will display RAM and like data list. So first title and then its definition in the below line it will display. So this is all about this session. So let's summarize. We have understand what is web application and its use client server architecture. We have brief idea about how client server architecture works. We have understanding how static web pages and dynamic web pages works. Then we consider what softwares are required to develop a web application. Then we consider that HTML is a static language which we use to develop static web pages, and we learn little bit about HTML. In next module we will learn more about HTML. Thank you.